Trial Tuesday once again. It's warming up out there, which means more people out on the water and a lot more risk involved. Attorney David Aylor, the captain of my legal armada, joins us with some helpful tips on safe boating this summer. Counselor, great to have you back on the show.
Good morning.
Let's talk about this. You know, we've gone over several things, including make sure you have life jackets on there, and don't drink and drive, and don't drink and boat. Another situation, I was actually on a boat the other day, and someone came over and kind of shouted an order at a person I was on the boat with and said, you know what, you need to put your extremities back onto the boat because you could face a $450 ticket. The captain of the boat I was on said, well, I'm not under power, so really we can be doing whatever we want to do. So is that true? Where does it stand when people can kind of tell you what you need to know when you're on somebody else's boat?
Well, first of all, let me say I'm not too upset, but a little upset I wasn't invited on this boat.
I apologize. We'll get you on there
moving forward next time. Well, they actually are making a good point. You know, a lot of times you'll see people hanging off the boat, wringing their legs off the boat, things like that. That is a safety issue. Now, the captain of your boat who mentioned that they were not actually engaged in driving the boat and it was in idle makes a good point. However, from the tides and things like that, the boat's still moving. So oftentimes it's going to appear as if they're actually creating a violation there. So it's very important to you know, try to look at these types of rules. That's very minor when it would seem.
Sure.
But then, of course, if something happened, it wouldn't be minor at all. It would be tragic. So I think the best thing that anybody can do is if you're on a boat and you're not experienced with these waters, or it's not something that you've done very often, is to go online, look at the DNR website. They give you a list that's pretty easy to understand and concise on things related to that, as well as having a whistle on the boat, the jackets, different other issues, alcohol, glass, things like that sometimes you'd be surprised people that are actually should be aware of it aren't.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about that notion of what is under power, they say. Are there other rules that kind of depend on if you are under power or just coasting along with the current?
Well, what doesn't depend on that is making sure that you have all the different safety requirements in place. This is going to be a life jacket for every member of the person on the boat, as well as the actual amount of life jackets you're supposed to have per the boat's size. Also, you have your whistle, you have your fire extinguisher. They're going to look through these type of items. A lot of times people bring coolers under the boat, which is completely fine. However, with that cooler, you can't have any glass in it. There's a reason for that. It's pretty obvious, of course, but sometimes somebody won't be familiar with that. They may bring something that's contained in a glass. They may bring a six-pack of some sort of drinks in a glass, and that's going to be a problem in and of itself. And then probably most importantly is when we're talking about when someone's driving the boat, whether or not they're under the influence of drugs or alcohol.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question. If you do get stopped for one of those checks by a DNR official or Coast Guard, can they go into your cooler, or is that a violation of a search warrant kind of thing?
Well, you know, it's going to depend on what the circumstances are, but you have to think about this. Most often you're going to see situations where you're going to have cans and different other items out, sometimes in a trash bag or whatever, and so they're going to somehow work their way into it. You have to just be ready to have your entire boat examined if you are stopped on the water. Similar to a car, what you can and can't look into is going to be a lot different than as you're home. Often the issue I see is someone will say that's driving the boat that they've only had one or two, but you know, the officers may not you know, take that to heart. They're going to look to the boat and say, no, I see, you know, tons of cans, tons of you know, bottles and different things like that, and then from there it leads to a BUI, which is very much similar to a DUI.
What happens when, let's say, you do get one of these BUIs? What happens to your boat? Because I'm sure everyone has to kind of disembark and get into those DNR boats as soon as you can.
Well, they try to find somebody on the boat that actually can drive the boat. There's nothing wrong with alcohol being on the boat. Unlike a car where you can't have any open containers, it is legal to have the open containers. It's just the driver shouldn't be having the open container, and the driver shouldn't be under the influence of alcohol, you know, above that 0.08 level or at that 0.08 level. So you just have to be careful with that. But you know, it's good to make sure that you at least have two people on the boat that are able to drive the boat, no matter if someone gets under the influence of alcohol or gets under the weather, because then if not, then yeah, they're going to have to tow the boat and pull everybody back from the DNR boats.
Is it different, a BUI versus a DUI, or is prosecuting and defending kind of the same?
Well, it's still a criminal offense, so that's the most important thing. There are certain ramifications that are different. As a whole, though, you're going to look at it and need to defend it just like you would a DUI.
All right, best not to get in that situation at all. Attorney David Aylor, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, as always. We'll get you on that boat soon. Stay with us. Much more Lowcountry Live after the break.
Trial Tuesday, brought to you by attorney David Aylor.